This is Mac OS Ken.
Apple closes above $3 trillion. TSMC sends home for help in Arizona. And REX has left the big round building. It is Monday, the 3rd of July, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Go to hellofresh.com/MOK50 and use code MOK50 for 50% off plus free shipping. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. For a brief moment in very early 2022, Apple hit an intraday market cap of $3 trillion. Couldn't hold it, though. By the time trading closed that day, the company was back to a paltry $2.99 trillion. Then it fell, and it fell, and it fell until earlier this year, when a piece from TechCrunch says it fell below $2 trillion, a level not seen by the company since early 2021. Since the start of this year, Apple shares have been climbing, and on Friday, they stuck the landing. TechCrunch says Apple is the first publicly traded company to close a trading day with a $3 trillion market value, $3.051 trillion according to Apple stocks. If you're wondering where that puts Apple on the corporate landscape, tip-top by a long shot. According to ABC News, Apple is bigger than second-place Microsoft with its market cap of $2.5 trillion. It's bigger than oil giant Saudi Aramco with its market cap of $2.08 trillion. And while Amazon, Google, and Nvidia all have market caps over $1 trillion, they're all under $2 trillion, putting them way far away from Apple's 3T. It's tough to put a number that big in perspective, though ABC News does give that a shot as well. According to the report, $3 trillion could buy nearly 9 million homes in the U.S. based on last year's average sales price. Could buy the 50 most valuable sports teams in the world with lots of money left over. And it could be $9,000 in the pockets of everyone in the U.S. if the $3 trillion were divided up evenly and handed out. The number's so big, though, it really doesn't matter. I mean, it's not like anybody's going to liquidate Apple and buy 9 million homes. The way ABC sees it, the significance of reaching a $3 trillion market value is largely symbolic, though the site says its magnitude is still breathtaking. I found it kind of annoying that most of the stories I read on Apple's $3 trillion valuation mentioned Apple Vision Pro, and that's about it. They didn't say Apple Vision Pro was the reason, nor did they say Apple hit $3 trillion despite the super expensive headset. They just mentioned them both in the same reports. Like this story began 10 minutes ago or something. People and analysts, who are of course also people, have been talking more seriously about Apple Car significantly longer than they've been talking about AR and VR and Apple. And some of them still are. I told you last week about city noob Atif Malik saying Apple's going to get into cars in a more serious way, though he's not sure how or when. What he'd like to see is tighter integration with existing automakers. Something deeper than the current CarPlay ties would be Apple's best car solution, in Malik's estimation. It's one way to go, but not as sexy as a car of Cupertino's own. Still expecting an actual Apple car is Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives. A piece from Apple Insider had Ives turning up on CNBC last Friday. He told the Financial Channel that a full-fledged Apple car is a question of when, not if. If that sounds familiar, it's not the first time he said it. According to Apple Insider, Ives has actually said that exact phrase before. Back in 2021, he wrote in a note to investors that it was a matter of when, not if, Apple would enter the electric vehicle market. Do you remember the Apple Car talk in early 2021? Rumors were flying fast and furious. Rumors were flying fast and furious that the Cupertino company was chatting up Hyundai and Nissan as potential car-making partners. That had Ives jumping the line, putting the probability of an announcement within 3 to 6 months at 85%. Something of an oops there, though he did say the question was when. He's got a new answer now. According to Apple Insider, now Ives predicts an Apple car launch by 2026. That backs up some previous reports by Ming-Chi Kuo that said a projected 2025 launch date had fallen behind. Citi's Malik has a buy rating on Apple shares and a price target of $240. Mr. Ives is very positive on Apple with a price target of $220. Doesn't sound like things are running smoothly for TSMC in Arizona. Nikkei Asia says the chip maker is looking at bringing hundreds of additional workers from Taiwan to the Grand Canyon state to speed up construction of the Arizona plant. I saw a headline somewhere that said U.S. workers were to blame, which seemed needlessly antagonistic on the part of that headline writer. What an unnamed exec told Nikkei was, there are not enough U.S. workers who have good first-hand experience, specifically on building semiconductor manufacturing facilities, and many are not familiar with the requirements for chip-making plants. That has caused delays in multiple installation works. Still, construction is said by the report to be behind schedule and over budget, and so other unnamed sources indicate that TSMC and its suppliers are in talks with the U.S. government to assist with the application process for non-immigrant visas in a bid to dispatch more than 500 experienced workers as early as this month to expedite the construction of cleanroom facilities and the installation of pipelines and other equipment. More news in a moment, but first a word from HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit and sponsor of today's show. If you're celebrating the 4th of July this week, chances are you're not eating your best. I mean, everything's going to taste great, but burgers, hot dogs, chips, potato salad. If you're looking for something a bit more substantial post-holiday, say hello to HelloFresh. It's peak time for summer produce, and HelloFresh wants you to have the best. That's why their ingredients go from the farm to your door in less than 7 days. It's quality you can taste. If Independence Day excess calls for a palate cleanser, HelloFresh has you covered with calorie-smart and protein-smart lunch and dinner options, plus new vegan dinners to choose from as well. I like that HelloFresh got me to try new things. The goat cheese chicken with figgy balsamic is nothing I ever would have tried on my own. But the step-by-step instructions and pre-proportioned ingredients help me make a truly delicious meal. See what they've got for you. Go to HelloFresh.com/MOK50 and use code MOK50 for 50% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/MOK50 and code MOK50 for 50% off plus free shipping. Taste what's made HelloFresh America's #1 meal kit. Use code MOK50 for 50% off plus free shipping at HelloFresh.com/MOK50. Trade-in values for Apple gear have shifted with the Cupertino company. Mac Rumors says Apple on Friday adjusted its estimated trade-in values for select iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, and Android smartphone models in the U.S. According to the report, iPhone 13, iPhone 13 Pro Max, and the most recent iPad Pro, iPad Mini, MacBook Pro, and MacBook Air models saw their potential trade-in values go up by between $10 and $20. The possible trade-in for Apple Watch SE went up by $10, and the potential trade-in values for Apple Watch Series 5 and 6 and the 12-inch MacBook went up by $5. On the downside, iPhone 8, iPhone 8 Plus, and iPhone 10 each saw their potential trade-in values decrease by as much as $10. Android smartphone values declined more steeply according to the report, though it does not say by how much. And Mac Studio potential trade-in values dropped by roughly $75, likely due to the second-generation models announced at WWDC. Pour one out for a tiny machine. Cult of Mac says 2015's 12-inch MacBook has landed on Apple's list of obsolete hardware. The cult says that laptop marked a turning point for reasons likely seen as both good and bad. On the good side, it brought USB-C to Apple's laptop line. On the bad, it also brought the butterfly keyboard. Ouch. The Cult of Mac piece takes pains to point out that just because a machine hits the obsolete list doesn't mean it's unusable. It does mean, though, that you will not be able to get it repaired or serviced through Apple nor Apple-authorized service providers. The machine's Wikipedia page indicates that Apple's still issuing security patches for it, though it's been off the market for 7 years. Might be time to consider a more recent machine when you can. And finally today, REX has left the big round building. Apple Insider ran a piece Friday that had workflow co-creator and shortcuts engineer Ari Weinstein announcing his departure from Apple. If you don't remember Workflow, it was an automation app that Apple acquired in 2017. Apple Insider says it eventually led to Apple introducing the similar Shortcuts app. It also led to Ari joining Apple with the title Software Engineering Manager. That was then, this is now. In a couple of Twitter posts on Friday, Ari said, "I left Apple this month after 6 years, 9 including Workflow. When we made the Workflow app at a hackathon, I never dreamed that it would be pre-installed on every iPhone and power systems like Shortcuts and App Intense. I'm so grateful for this journey and for our team. I've loved Apple and its products since I was a kid, and getting to work there, along with so many talented people, has been a real honor and a lot of fun. So it's really tough to leave, but I'm excited to take some time off and build something new." macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by HelloFresh. Go to hellofresh.com/MOK50 and use code MOK50 for 50% off plus free shipping. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.